Holtz is a former football coach at Notre Dame, and he is a staunch conservative who also supports Donald Trump. So naturally, he's here at the RNC. And during an interview, he had some choice words for immigrants. Take a look.
I'm Lou Holtz, and I wholeheartedly endorse Donald Trump as the next president of the United States. There are nothing but winners in Indiana. The main reason I'm endorsing him, I've played his golf course, I stayed in his hotel. He does nothing but go first class in everything. He wants his country to be first class as well. Thank you for listening.
So there he is supporting Donald Trump. And at the convention, while he was being interviewed, he had some negative things to say about immigrants and how he's just really tired of putting up with them. Let's take a look at his quote. He says the following: "I don't want to become you. I don't want to speak your language. I don't want to celebrate your holidays. I sure as hell don't want to cheer for your soccer team."
Oh, my God.
So that's a really interesting quote coming from Lou Holtz, considering the fact that Melania Trump was just in the middle of this huge scandal regarding her speech and how it was plagiarized. And some of the excuses that conservatives made for her was, it's not her native tongue. What are you going to do, right? So it's interesting how they're supportive of some immigrants, but not so supportive of other immigrants. And by the way, Lou Holtz, no one's asking you to speak any language. Like, when did anyone point to Lou Holtz and say, like, hey, se habla español? Like no one's ever asked him to do anything. You live a nice, cushy life. You are a nice football coach. I mean, you're talking about going to golf courses and enjoying your time with Donald Trump. You've lived a good life. Immigrants haven't hindered your development or your progress in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, there are so many things that make this as obviously I care about sports, and Lou Holtz has a folksy grandfather, everyday likability on TV, in part because, like Donald Trump, he didn't seem like a TV analyst, so he stood out, right? He wasn't a pretty boy. He seemed to be candid. He seemed to be speaking off the cuff. This is an election for the President of the United States. The overwhelming majority of Americans don't get to play golf at Donald Trump's courses or stay in Donald Trump's hotels. He does everything first class. He's not going to do everything first class when he cuts taxes, then jeopardizes the economy, and the brunt of that economic failure is going to be felt by the middle class and the working poor, which is what every analysis of Donald Trump's tax cuts show. So the fact that, I mean, how out of touch are you about staying in his nice hotel? He's the best sheets. That's why I'm going to vote for him for president. Then I love to make fun of soccer, right? And I have. And I regret it instantly now because I don't want anything to do with Lou Holtz. So you know what I want? I want to cheer your soccer team. I can't wait to cheer your soccer team.
Now, you know, Ben, that's a hell of an admission.
That is
man.
right. I resign my abhorrence of soccer. I'm Earth's biggest soccer fan now. I mean, Lou Holtz, just the arrogance and the dismissiveness of all people who aren't like you, meaning who aren't white men, who aren't celebrating 1957 like it was the greatest year on earth. It is disappointing beyond belief when a guy that you admire turns out to be a gigantic jackbag. Jules, sorry.
I mean, look, I feel like I can definitely speak to this because I'm a first-generation American. I was born in Ukraine. My parents came here when I was a child. I've experienced people, discriminating against my parents for their accent, discriminating against them for not understanding how the exact customs work. And this guy is saying, I don't want to speak your language. I don't want to celebrate your holidays. You don't have to. That's why my parents came to America. That's the whole point. And this dude is crapping all over it and giving saying these terrible things about immigrants, which is what this country is literally built on.
No, I once heard that somebody came up to Lou Holtz and said, "Speak Ukrainian." We demand it.
We demand it.
Yeah,
it's really hard.
By the way, huge loser, Lou Holtz. One chance as a professional coach, quit before the end of the season, went 3-10. Loser, Lou Holtz.
Yeah, well, that he shares with Donald Trump. So his original argument is, I'm rich, Donald Trump is rich, and we play golf together. Wow, that was convincing.
Great, powerful.
And by the way, if you don't know, Donald Trump apparently spies in on the people who stay at his hotels. And so that's a new story that came out. So, Lou, he might have some dirt on you. You'll enjoy that from your buddy. Now, on to the most important part. He says, I don't want to speak your language, all that stuff. And I was on with a conservative radio host here who said, oh, you got all these Mexican flags here now. I don't like that. You know, the American flag's the only thing we should fly. And I asked him, do you mind seeing the Irish flag in an Irish pub? He's like, that's different. And let's remember, Lou Holtz was the coach of the Fighting Irish.
Yeah.
So you didn't mind it when it was the nickname of the school that you coached. You were so proud of it. You weren't like, oh, these goddamn Irish. They're not Americans. They're not Americans. Why are we putting Irish, this foreign nationality, into our American football team? No, you were like, Fighting Irish, they're so white, right? No, but you see, that's my point. You don't think of the Irish as white. You don't think of Fighting Irish or Notre Dame as any race. I know that. I don't think of it that way. But when it comes to Mexicans, all of a sudden, oh, they're the other. They're the Mexicans. I don't want to speak their language. I don't like them. I don't want to do any. I don't want to be associated with them. Well, then you begin to get a sense of maybe it's not the foreign thing as much as it is a particular foreigners that they don't like.
Yeah, of course. That's always the case. That's always the case. I mean, whenever they talk about immigration, it's always directed at Mexicans. I mean, it's always Mexicans.
Or Muslims.
Or Muslims,
the M&Ms,
right?
Yeah, M&Ms, Muslims and Mexicans.
That's exactly
So,
right. I don't want to imagine an America without Mexicans. I just don't.
Okay, yeah, and I want to add one more thing to that. If we had it Lou Holtz way, first of all, the Irish wouldn't have been here. Let's acknowledge that. Second of all, we wouldn't be America. I do want to eat their food. I do want to have their culture be part of American culture. That's what makes American culture great. Oh, you Italians with your pizza. I don't want your pizza. Wait a minute. Hold on now. I kind of like your pizza. I don't want your pasta. No, keep the pasta. Keep the pasta, right? And, all the stereotypical stuff, the diners that are heavily influenced by Jewish culture.
Greeks.
I love
Greeks.
them.
Greeks.
Who doesn't want a gyro? Who doesn't want a gyro?
Who doesn't want to go to a Greek diner?
Yeah, and they call them, again, I keep obsessing about the Italians. Italian subs, okay? It wouldn't be America without them. And you can go down the list. Chinese food. You really don't want Chinese food? You want to eliminate that? You want to eliminate Mexican food and food? In Miami, you want to eliminate Cuban food? Why?
I don't want to eliminate Cuban men.
I know, right? They're so close-minded and they're so un-American. See, all the other countries used to be based on one particular race or nationality or ethnic origin. They'd be like, we are Germans, right? In America, we set up a whole country to be the opposite of that. Say, we're open to everybody. We're open to you in the beginning if you're English or you're German or you're French or you're Belgian. Then we expanded and said, oh, all right, Irish, Italian, come on in. Mexicans, Chinese, the list goes on and on. And that was what made us America.
Yeah.
So Lou Holtz, you're the most un-American guy I have ever met, and you sicken me.
I just have to add one other thing. Look, I know I made a few jokes about this story, but when I read that quote, the first person I actually thought about was my dad and my mom. So they both speak English, right? My mom speaks better English than my dad. My dad struggles a little bit, but he can communicate. And my dad is the most hardworking man imaginable. He's 71 years old. He owns apartment buildings that he paid for through money he earned doing handyman work. Okay, so electrical work, plumbing, everything he did on his own, saved up everything he earned and bought these apartment buildings. Until this day, he refuses to hire other people to work on them. He does all the work on his own, okay? Incredible, hardworking person. And all right, so he was born in Syria. He eventually went to Armenia, and then he immigrated to the United States. Under today's current climate, okay, he would be demonized like crazy. He would be considered a threat, a criminal. Who knows? All those crazy trolls online would probably confuse him for a Muslim just because he's, from somewhere around the Middle East. Who knows? But the idea of demonizing people like that who just want to come to this country for an opportunity to build a better life for themselves and their families is in my opinion, the definition of un-American.
By the way, your dad comes from Syria originally, as you pointed out.
Yep.
I was on a show today with a Republican saying, we got to stop bringing in refugees from those terrorist nations. I was like, okay, who's a terrorist nation? He's like, oh, Syria. Okay, first of all, there's a lot of different people in Syria, including the people fleeing from the terrorists. But under that ideology, yeah, you would have banned Anna's dad from coming in. You also would have banned Steve Jobs' dad from coming in. He's from Syria. And we would have had no Apple. And then we would have seen the conservatives cry.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we lost money.
I mean, look, I relate to that completely.
Yeah.
And I want to add one thing where I believe either before or after in a Fox News interview, he also said that, look, I was a scrawny kid, people picked on me, it toughened me up, and that's adversity. That's insane. I was a scrawny kid and an immigrant, and I got toughened up, but not because people were mean to me, but because that's the kind of person I am, and that's the kind of people my parents are. And that's literally why they came to America, because they could handle changes, they could handle new situations, and assimilate to the extent that it would make sense to, and not just, oh, everybody has to be white, everybody has to speak the same language perfectly, everybody has to, like you're saying, eat the same food. It's absolute nonsense what he's saying, and where he's coming from is completely insane, because it's a white dude. It's just like a tall white dude.
And if Lou Holtz had said this, I don't want to become you. I'll leave out the soccer team part. I don't want to become you. I don't want to speak your language. I don't celebrate your holidays. If he'd said that from 1947 through 1967, he would have been talking about one group and only one group, and I'm sure people said this, and he'd be talking about Jews. I don't want to celebrate your holidays. I don't want to become you. I don't want to speak your language.
Who forced him to celebrate anyone's holiday?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
we tried to force you guys to celebrate Hanukkah. We gave it a run.
Nobody wants to do it. It's too many days.
It hasn't quite landed yet. The excitement of Christmas just won out. It's a source of disagreement, of enormous disappointment in our meetings.
And I will end on this. I want to celebrate your holidays.
Yeah.
Because you know why? They're fun.
It's a holiday.
St. Patrick's Day, God bless the Irish.
Cinco de Mayo.
That's where I was going next.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
Who says, oh my God, it's Cinco de Mayo, I'm miserable?
Right.
Okay, well then crawl in your little hole and be miserable by yourself. Just shut up.
Go out and get drunk because it's Cinco de Mayo.
I know,
Right.
exactly.
And I didn't grow up a Christian. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to celebrate your holiday because Christmas is
Yes,
awesome.
right. And Lou Holtz would be like, yeah, because ours is better.